Let's go. Here we are to go live. We already got Junkyard jumping in with a AO. Glad to have Junkyard along for the ride. Okay, we are here today to start off from the small box in the shared screen to take a look at the motion picture, The Creep. Now you can see I've called up the IMDb screen here. I got to tell you, if you're looking around in IMDb, or if maybe you've heard of The Creep as a movie, there's a whole lot of movies out there with the moniker known as The Creep, but I am talking about the independent motion picture shot in black and white, produced in the year 2001. As we sit here in 2024, we were just waiting for the right time, the right place. The movie was made, time passed, I come along, here we go to connect and intersect now. How did we get here exactly? Gary Ray, the producer of this film, has been on this channel a couple times showing his two-dimensional art, his monster-related art, his psychedelia-related art, his three-dimensional art by way of sculptures. The man is also a musician, and now we're going to take a look at his independent cinematography here of The Creep. Now, I did take notes, and maybe I'll even get bold and try to play the actual trailer of The Creep. So Gary says, and Gary, if you're watching, I think you're watching, hats off to you, good sir, for making this possible by sending me a copy of this movie, October 16th. So now here I am roughly a month after the movie arrived. I did take a pleasure viewing of it. I took an enjoyment watch. And then in more recent days, I took out my notes and I got to cooking. So who is The Creep? What is The Creep known for? All right. Let's dive in to that kind of conversation. So The Creep has an underground layer, and it's a small amount of screen time that we get to see the underground layer, but maybe more relevant is one of his noteworthy creepy traits is his particular body odor and stench. He smells like a guy who hangs out in an underground layer, and that becomes a relevant plot point through the movie. So we see him, and early on, he's eating out of a garbage can. He's, as you can see, his visage there. He's running around in his trench coat and his glasses. He yells "boo" at passersby, and as I just said, he does smell. Okay, so his first victim or victims. So this runtime of this motion picture is roughly 60 minutes. So this is a high per capita, or it's action packed from victim set to victim set. So first victims he goes after, teenage couple in their car. And again, it was seeing the black and white imagery of him approach them. Again, I'm not a film school person, so I'm speaking with amateur terminology here, but it's independent, but it's not amateur. It's well shot. It all has a good look to it. So, okay, the first victim set, the teenage couple in the car, he pops out of the back, and with his stink and with his surprise ways, he facilitates a car crash, but it was non-fatal. So his first victim set was not an actual kill, but he was out there victimizing people. Then he's putting sand. So who puts sand? For what purpose does anyone put sand in their pockets? This is, again, character development, showing the mindset of the underground dwelling creep. Okay, so why is he doing sand in the pockets? I don't know. Maybe Gary, if we wanted to go in comments, or maybe another time Gary can come back around and we can ask the questions directly to Gary. But why is the creep? I could figure out just by definition, a creep is going to live underground, but what is with the sand in the pockets? I was curious of that. Okay, second victim, guy at a bus stop, just sitting around at the bus stop, and he gets a tire iron delivered to him, or what looked like a tire iron, maybe a pry bar. But so then that's the second victim. The creep clonks this guy around. Then the third victim is a lady. Now, he didn't physically accost her, but he was absolutely creepy. He's casting his voice around in a darkness, saying, "You can't see me, but I can see you." I'm not going to try to do his accent or completely replicate his speech style, but so now we're at victim number 3. Now we got about 17 victims here, so I better pick up the pace a little bit. I see that. Victim number 4, just a gentleman trying to ask for change, a gentleman without the use of his eyes, who only had 22 cents in his can, but the creep loots him for all 22 cents. Now, victim number 5 from the corner shop. So even though the creep had the 22 cents, he wasn't going to spend that. He goes into the corner shop and steals out of the corner shop, which leads us to victim number 6. So now the violence is ramping up from the creep because victim number 6 is the dog. He tried to placate the dog in a fake out move. And then, granted, this is all a motion picture, and this is in the actual picture. The actual dog was not harmed. Let me say that. But the creep within the story and takes again, what's visible on the camera and what's implied off camera. So the creep picks up a brick and gets with the dog with a brick. So then the dog's owner was also, of course, quite distraught. So now we cut from victim number 6 is the first time we're going to see the police come around. They go to the hospital to interview the teenage girl out of victim couple number 1 set. And they're trying to, piece together the information. How can they try to chase down the creep? Okay, so the body odor is noted to the police, and then we move on to victim number 7, victim set number 7, 2 teenage boys walking around. Again, this is set in, I don't have the exact date, but Gary says it has a 60s feel to it. It has a 60s feel. It has also a 50s look with a 50s black and white horror picture. So let's say, I don't have the exact timeline, but 50s-ish, 60s-ish. The guys are walking around with a transistor radio, and the 2 young guys, the creep takes their transistor radio. Now, again, who hasn't had that happen where you're walking around town and some big, more menacing person is trying to mess with your stuff or claim your stuff that isn't really his? So it's a relatable scenario for victim set number 7. A separate cop who wasn't with this detective set, who wasn't at the hospital, approaches the creep but doesn't know it's the creep, and is just like, hey, you got to get out of the street, and your body odor is terrible. So now, besides dirt in the pockets, the creep elevates, and they say sometimes a bird, to get the oils off their feathers, will take a dirt bath, which is always an interesting contradiction, dirt and bath. But okay, who am I to tell a bird how they should bathe or not bathe? So the creep is throwing the dirt all over himself in a creepy way. Again, this guy is a pretty out of the pocket kind of guy. So now we come to the setting of Halloween within the picture. We got a Dracula costume boy and a witch costume girl. And wouldn't you know it, the creep comes to admire their candy. And this, I remember Gary speaking to me about this sequence real vividly. I can't remember if that was on camera or off camera in our previous conversations with Gary right here on this channel. So needless to say, he steals the Halloween candy from the 2 kids. Calls coming to the police. The creep goes back underground, and that's when we get a better look into his underground lair. Victim number 10 is a woman through her window. And again, this isn't like a super dark picture. This isn't super salacious, but it's implying that it's showing the creep as being a creep. So it's not a nudity scene, but she's changing her clothes, and the creep is creeping, looking through the window, disturbing for her. Victim set number 11, he breaks in for a mom and 2 kids, but he doesn't confront them. Victim number 12, the guy wearing the hat was just sleeping outside. And now again, the physical violence escalates here because the creep stabs the guy who was sleeping outside with the hat. That was victim set number 12 or victim number 12. So now for the 13th victim, unlucky 13, the kid with the flashlight goes into the creep's lair. And I got to tell you, again, I know we weren't having, savage ratings here for absolute violence, but I was a little bit concerned. You got 2 young guys exploring around. One guy's like, I don't want to go down there. Let's get out of here. So that allowed us to see a little bit of the underground layer. Okay, now 14, victim set 14. We got another different, not going back to victim 1, but similarly, you have a young couple in a car, and clubs the guy. The creep clubs the guy in the face. Then quick after that, victim number 15. The guy's just walking by with a hat and jacket, and now he goes from pry bar or crowbar up to an ice pick. And again, it's not rampant blood. It's not rampant gore. There's some good camera work there to show and stunt work, action requires certain angles to create the believability. If I dare I say, to create the verisimilitude. I should have practiced it before, and now I'm saying it. I'm not sure on my pronunciation. Okay, so okay, then comes okay, so now the police are canvassing around. They're driving around trying to find the creep, and then we get to victim number 15. Yeah, that was the ice pick. Now the creep's punching himself in the head. Why is he punching himself in the head? Because he's an unhinged creep. Uh, Detective. So now the detectives have, as we're in the rising action now, the police have pinpointed where's the lair. They're about to put the drop on him. Two detectives and two badge wearing officers. Creep throws a rock in the cop's head as part of it. Then he now leads to a long chase, which is again coming up to, and I won't spoil the ending. I'll take everything up to the ending. But toward the end, I especially wanted to notice, now that I've kind of covered the plot and the high rate of victims per minute per this hour long independent movie, uh, some of the things I appreciated was their use of fog. The especially toward the end, there's some real good cinematography, framing and taking the angles, the camera angles. The creep has a long corridor run. He's got a lot of stuff going on, but like I said, I don't want to give away the exact resolution, but it was needless to say, the creep didn't creep anymore after he came to the end. So now, again, I've never been able to play video off of IMDb before, but let me see if I can actually get the trailer cooking here. And let me see what we can do with play trailer. So let me go, before I go play trailer, again, look at this. So right there's director is Mark Del Rio. Writers are listed as Gary and Daryl Drager. I hope I'm saying his name correctly. And then, oh, geez. See, good thing I went to hear it first. So Forrest J. Ackerman. So Monsters of Filmland magazine publisher, creator, founder, Forrest J. Ackerman. So I had not seen him on video. I had not heard his voice. So that he's in the intro and the closeout, the intro and the outro. And that was, again, Gary's got, I'm sure we were talking more off camera than on camera about this, but Gary's got some really cool stories about Forrest J. Ackerman. And if you're doing an independent movie, how cool would it be to land the guy who did the top monster magazine of all, agreeing to converse with you at all, let alone agreeing to come on camera and be part of the film. So, okay, let's see if I'm able to successfully play the trailer for the creep as he comes out at night. There's Forrest J. Ackerman, and it's a beautiful thing.
Are we near the sewage plant?
No, we're nowhere near the sewage.
What's this? 2 nights ago, some kids were attacked in their car. The MO is the same as the bust-out muggings that we had last night. Apparently, we have a psycho on our hands who has a thing for hiding in the shadows and tormenting his victims.
Hey, you. Trick or treat.
Hey, fella, don't you think you're a little too old for this?
Trick or treat. Hey, Monster Kid. What's happening? Oh, this must be Eddie's lucky night. When you break something, you gotta pay for it.
We gotta get out of here.
All right. So there was the trailer for The Creep. Again, I initially reached out to Gary to be able to talk about his art, and I knew of his 2D visual art. And as we continue to speak, I learned of his other formats also. Junkyard says, "What a creep taking candy from kids, an absolute creep." But let me say, so Gary, as we've talked, to see somebody take a passion project that you could have been other things come on your calendar and on your clock, but you and this full list of people here. I guess let me jump. I won't jump back around in the IMDb screens. Let me stay here where I can see things. But it's not just 2 or 3 players in this picture. It is a full list of people. It's not people whose pictures are showing up in IMDb, which to me is great because it's reflective of this all in independent level. Their pictures aren't on file with IMDb because they're all independent people. A passion project, a thing to. It's just I had fun watching it. I'm glad Gary had the idea to send it over. Uh, Again, I haven't seen before, I haven't reviewed before an independent picture of this shot in black and white. So clearly, again, I'm going full Farley. And for those of us who understand the Chris Farley reference, or I'll just expand that time on Saturday Night Live, where Chris Farley would just say, "Oh, that was awesome. That was awesome," and just continue to sing the praises of Thing by saying how awesome it was. So I'm in full Farley mode here again. It has been my pleasure to interact with Gary. It has been a great moment for me to get to do my first independent movie review on this channel. Gary, thanks so much for sending me The Creep. I encourage people to try to find a way to check out The Creep or to get in contact with Gary or drop a comment in the comment section. And maybe Gary can come back to you later on if you had specific questions or curiosities about The Creep from 2001. All right, we delve in. I'm diving back out. Thanks, everybody. My upcoming stuff, I had just yesterday done some Svengoolie business as he was out at Ed DeBevick's. Just more recently, I interviewed the new release Frankenstein hardcover graphic novel from Legendary. And prior to that, I reviewed the Dracula hardcover graphic novel from Legendary, irrespectively, starring the visuals of Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff. So if those things are of interest to you, go ahead and check out my back catalog. This one will go on the Gary Ray playlist because now I've got three videos for Gary. That's a real good playlist. I'm closing us out. Thanks a lot, everybody, and we will catch you next time. And